don't do that. Hello and welcome back to Marvel Puzzle Quest with me, PiMacleod, and we're here at day 4222. It's very ironic that there's a free Peni Parker cover just a couple days from now, and it's the week where she gets her first Crash the Titans ever. I don't know if they planned that, because these covers are kind of in an order of which the character came out, but it's not worth talking about, right? Right. We have two things we want to go over today. One of them kind of deals with Winter Soldier, and it's kind of more because of a certain teammate they're releasing. Did you see the news? We have a new 4-star on the horizon. You've probably seen it. If you do any sort of internet searching, Facebooking, Instagramming, Twitching, whatever you want to call it with this game, you'll know that Moonstone is finally getting an upgrade. Well, not really. They're leaving the 2-star one alone. No, we're getting a brand new one. Brand new one. And let's go take a look, right? Hey, John. Good to see you. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Okay, so her name in this context is Meteorite. I'm linked to the forum here just to go through this. You could do so as well. Look it up all you want. I want to put out a little caveat before I dive into these numbers. One, I've been asked before, why don't I do stuff like this? And honestly, I thought it was because everyone usually looks at this stuff if they're interested. But, I mean, if people want it, so here, why not? I mean, I'll give you my own take on what the numbers look like. And it's not so much the numbers, it's more or less the utility. If you do any sort of following of this channel, you know that I'm not swayed by big numbers unless it's, well, stupid big and hard to ignore. But more importantly, it's more about the utility and how you can utilize it, you know, to get the upper hand or to maybe pull the rug off underneath someone, you know. Anyways, okay, this one, Moonstone, Meteorite, I could read the biography, but so could you when she comes out. I'm more interested in what she does, right? I think we all are. I mean, there's her health numbers, her match damage numbers at certain given levels. We don't know the feeder flow yet, but we could make an assumption right now, can't we? We know that two-star Moonstone feeds Sentry. Sentry could be molded, changed, etc. to feed 4-star Moonstone, right? And didn't we just get Sentry in a movie recently? Haven't we all been asking for a 5-star Sentry to be released? It seems like it could be lined up really well. They released the Moonstone now, and then the Sentry pretty darn soon. We have the feeder right lined up. Moonstone Sentry, Moonstone Sentry. It's just a theory. Don't go yelling at them. The developers don't deserve it if I'm wrong. Okay? If I'm wrong, oh well. I'm not saying I'm putting money on it, but I don't know. Seems like a nice idea, right? It's spider time? It is spider time, Matt. Your logic's too logic-y? I apologize. Is what I do. What's up over there, Matt? Synergy, yes. Okay. Let's drop on down to the abilities. Play the hero. It's her yellow one. AP cost 5. Nice and cheap. If you've been following the channel, you know that anytime an ability costs 6 or less, that means you could probably start the game with it if you have the right support on. That's what I think of right off the bat. I could start the game casting Play the hero. Things to think about. Select 3 non-basic black tiles to convert to black. Okay. Remember, this is level 1 stuff, so, you know, it's going to go up. You can see down there, level 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't really do much more but then add more damage. But I digress. The passive, though, is what it seems to be all about. Allied Thunderbolts, so we'll get to that in a minute, deal 45% more ability damage, or 60, 75, 110, 175, depending on the level you have it at, right? If you have at least 3 less AP than the enemy. So you're the underdog in this case, right? You're under their AP value. Okay, just keep that in mind. Swap her yellow and black match damage, and this becomes Act the Villain. Okay? Whenever you make a black, blue, or green match, convert 2 AP of the match's color into yellow AP and gain 1 black AP. Now, I've seen some people online say that this is kind of confusing wording, and yeah, maybe they mean something else. Maybe. But I interpret it as your normal match 3 of any color will give you at least those 3 AP that you matched away. You know, 1 gem is 1 AP. So if you match 3 black gems, that's 3 black AP you're going to get. Never mind if they're charged or if they're an abyss tile. That's other math we're not going to throw in at this moment. But match 3 regular old basic tiles and you'll get 3 AP. Now, if you make a black, blue, or green match, convert 2 AP of the match's color into yellow AP and gain 1 black. So in other words, if we're making 3 black, it's really 2 yellow and 1 black. Or if it's a blue, it's 2 yellow and 1 black. Okay? The one thing that is the most confusing here is whenever you make these matches, right? Does that mean you, the player, or does it mean you, Meteorite? Because if Meteorite makes it so that this character makes it so that you, the player, make this black, blue, or green match, these are now the colors you get. This means that she is now pretty much incompatible with people that use blue or green powers, because you're not going to get that blue or green AP. You're just going to get yellow and black. Now, certain characters are going to love that, like God Emperor Doom, or whoever else uses yellow and black. Apocalypse, let's just say. Omega Red? Well, his black is passive. You get the point, though. There's going to be plenty of synergies outside of the Thunderbolts right there. However, it doesn't say if it's her making the match per se, or if it's just you, the player. If she's got to tank it to make the match, to make this conversion happen, then that means she has to be stronger than the other characters on the team, higher match damage output, in order to get that to work. And if you're anything like, I don't know, most players, the rest of your roster is probably pretty decently leveled over her already. Her tanking it isn't going to happen that easily. You'd have to put her with lesser valued or lesser tiered characters right off the bat just to get this to work. So I think, I could be wrong, so I think this means that you, the player, you make a match, black, blue, or green, and you're going to get that conversion. I can't see it working any other way, because otherwise you're not going to get this pulled off that often. I mean, she's in a long roster of characters, and she's brand new. So she's not going to be leveled over many of your characters in your roster. What's up, Matt? This could go well with Purple Man and his black. Oh, I can see that. And that black leads to purples. I like that. That's nice. Nice idea there. Okay. I want to jump real quick. Keep this page here, right? I mean, this is a good old mobile page here. I'm going to hit this button, click over to here. Let's take a look at something, just real quick. Thunderbolts, right? Roster. Click up here. Let's type in the word Thunderbolt. It can be singular, it can be plural. The game doesn't care. And then we're going to filter on affiliations. These are the characters that would get that damage boost when you have the, her on with that 45%, 170, whatever the number is, that boost that fellow Thunderbolt allies get, right? So Green Goblin, Electro, the new Winter Soldier, the old Winter Soldier, Red Guardian, 1-star Jugs, Rhino, Abomination, 2-star Hawkeye, Taskmaster, 3-star Punisher, 4-star 3-star Iron Fist. Didn't mean to say it like that. 3-star Luke Cage, 1-star Black Widow, 1-star Yelena, and 3-star Bullseye, 1-star Venom. And yeah, that's about it. It seems kind of cool when you put it in perspective, like that's a good amount of characters they could go with. But how many of these characters do you think are meta or, you know, good enough to be like top tier, use everyday sort of material? Not a lot, right? I mean, if you take the 1-star Yelena and put up to 5-star level, you can make a case. Those traps she makes passively are pretty deadly at the 5-star level. You could make a case for certain synergistic combos, but none of these are like immediately must ascend to 5-star and drive it home characters. Okay, you could probably make some cool combos, and I'll probably be trying it out myself. I'm not gonna lie, but none of them are immediately awesome. There is something I want to point out that is kind of sad though. You look at 5-star Winter Soldier. Look at that purple right down there, that passive. At the start of the turn, random active enemy becomes priority threat if there's no active threats. Whenever a Thunderbolt ally deals damage, deal 50% of that damage dealt to the priority threat. Now I can put it up to here, and it's 65% of that damage dealt to the priority threat. This damage is unaffected by strike and projectiles and other damage modifiers. So Bucky here on this purple passive deal is not going to get that boost from Meteorite. This deal X amount of more damage, it's not going to hit his purple. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking like, ooh, I remember Bucky has these combinations with other Thunderbolts. I could put her in and all this magic's going to happen. Slow down there. It'll happen, but just not on that. Not on everything. So keep that in mind. Slow your horses. Remember to test these things out, you know, in a safe PvE environment before you take it to PvP and get schooled by someone. Just saying. Okay. I gotta run. See it on YouTube. Okay, that's all good, John. I'll talk to you later, dude. Let's go down next. Ability, active villain. This is the other side of that yellow one. The play the hero. If it turns to a black, it becomes act the villain. It's 0. It's just a pure passive. Okay, you don't have to cast it to do anything. Moonstone takes 15% less damage and deals 15% more damage. Yeah, obviously you see the number changes over here. 20-20, 25-30, 35-40. We're counting up, right? Level 5, 50% less damage and 70% more damage. That's notable. 50% less damage. It doesn't say match damage. It doesn't say power damage. Just less damage. That's kind of crazy if you think about it. Remember that Electro was a Thunderbolt, right? 5-star Electro. She reduces incoming team damage. And this Moonstone's sitting here like, yeah, I'm just going to take half of everything coming on in. Don't worry. I don't need to worry about the other half. Oh, Electro, you're going to downplay it more for me? That makes Moonstone a little tanky, doesn't it? You know, she could take a few hits. Anyways. If you have at least 3 more AP than the enemy, now this side, the black side, is more. You have to have more AP than the enemy for this to be happening. Swap her black and yellow, match damage, and this play becomes play the hero. Okay, so that's how that happens. But that means you'd have to have 3 more AP than the enemy, and that swap happens. In other words, it's going to be, you'd have to balance the AP pretty well when playing this hero. If you notice, the other one was like 3 less to do this one thing, and this one's 3 more. You have to play that AP balance game a little bit. Just play it right, okay? Anyways. Whenever the enemy makes a black, purple, or red match, steal 1 AP of the match's color and gain 1 yellow AP. So whenever the enemy makes that black, purple, red match, you get 1 of those AP. So they made a match 3 of red. They actually only made a match 2, and you get 1. And you get 1. Yay! And then you also get a yellow AP. Not bad. So But just, keep that in mind, if you have at least 3 more AP than the enemy. So since you're stealing AP when they make those matches, that's going to happen, right? You might accidentally change and not even mean to. That could happen. My music went away. No, it just got really quiet. Weird. Okay, not intended, but that's okay. Just pull that back up. Give me 1 second. I lost some of my screens there for a second. There we go. Cool. Thank you. Now, I don't know about you, but this seems to be kind of fun for the fact that like you could be really tanky with this, and you could also have your Thunderbolt allies doing a lot more damage. This could end up being pretty fun overall, but we're only looking at 1 ability so far. There's more. Let's take a look. Blinding Flash. It's purple, costs 7 AP, stun the target and 1 other random enemy and a random teammate of Moonstone. Yuck. For 1 turn. Then drain 4 yellow AP to burst healer allies for some health. Drain black AP to deal damage to the enemy team. Let's look at what it really does at the higher levels. Level 5. Stun for 3 turns. Burst heal for obviously more health. Obviously team damage is bigger. The stun for 3 turns is kind of cool. But that stun a random teammate for 1 turn kind of sucks, right? I don't know if I like that much. The idea of having a 7 purple ability that could stun the target and 1 other random enemy is pretty sweet. I mean, you saw the new 4-star Daredevil, right? It was like, what, 8 yellow, and you get 2 enemies stunned for 3 turns? That's pretty good. There's a lot of yellow supports out there to give you free AP. This is just 7 purple. There's 3 supports that get purple AP, so you could still pull this off pretty easily, but now you're stunning a random teammate for a turn. I guess if you had the right teammates that were immune to stun, or had an ability that used being stunned, like Black Panther, or maybe you put on the Black King and they have on the Hellfire Club support so they don't get stunned on their first turn, being stunned. Food for thought. Anyways, I don't know, just the idea of stunning a teammate, it kind of ruins your synergy. You usually plan on all 3 characters doing something together, and it kind of ruins that plan. I don't know if I'd bank on this so much, because if you are banking on it, it means you really didn't bank on all 3 characters being active, did you? Interesting. I don't know, could be good, but still. Moving on down. And finally, ability Photon Projection. It is her red one. It only costs 6. There's only a couple of supports that give red AP, and they are a little more picky. The Arc Reactor needs a Stark Tech person. Stark Tech. Did I say that right? I think I said it right the first time. Whatever. And then there's also one of Thanos' children, Proxima Midnight, if I remember correctly, that gives red at rank 4. So either a villain or a Stark Tech person to get your red AP to start. But anyways, deal damage to the target, then drain 4 yellow AP to deal a hit, an extra hit that is, to the target, and drain 4 black AP to deal damage to target's teammates. There's a theme here, isn't there? You drain yellow AP to get an extra hit, and drain black AP to deal damage to the target's teammates. The previous ability said drain yellow AP to do a heal to everyone, or your team that is, and drain your black AP to do team damage. Seems like she likes having a lot of yellow AP and black AP around. And when you looked at her first abilities, that yellow, and that turns to the black passively, and both of them can flip-flop back and forth, helping you gain yellow and black AP through different means. Seems like she kind of really wants the AP to flow in, and she's going to use and abuse it if you let her. Anyways, rank 5 or level 5 just deals more damage to the target, more damage to target's teammates, and you get the point. We're used to what that does at this point. What do I think of this character? I'm not so sure. I'm not convinced this is going to be all that grand. But then again, we don't know what the Ascension looks like. 5-star Ascended Meteorite might be amazing. Sometimes the numbers change when they ascend, and we know that from 3-star Ant May, or Iron May I should say, or how Coulson changes when he hits the 5-star level. If you're not aware of these changes, I'm more than happy to divulge it in the comments later, but for now we're just kind of sticking to this. Anyways, would that also stun your teammate for 3 turns at higher level? No, that I don't believe that did. Let's see. Stun the target and one other random enemy and random teammate of Moonstone for 1 turn. See, on a random teammate enemy for Moonstone 1 turn. Stun for 3 turns. You know what? The way it's worded, I could see that. I could see what you're saying there. I don't believe that's what they meant, though. But you know what? I'm willing to admit I'm wrong. I don't believe that's what they meant, because I think if they did that, I think even they, the developers, know that this character would probably never get used then. Let's just call it what it is. If this allows you to stun 2 enemies for 3 turns, and then one of your teammates gets stunned for 3 turns as well, isn't that just really putting the nail in the coffin, saying no one's going to want to use her? And if they do, we're all putting the purple down to level 3, right? We're never putting this up to 5. We're never going to use this ability. It'd be hard for me to see them doing that. But I guess it's not impossible. We've seen some stinkers in the past. And yeah, it happens. I hope that doesn't happen. I really hope that this isn't a part of the kit, Matt. If teammate was 1 turn and bad guys 3 turns, that would be awesome. It would be fine. I don't know if I'd still use it because, like I stated earlier, I kind of plan on a whole team synergy. I like all 3 characters working together. There's usually a plan involved, and if one of them's stunned, that plan's not working. But I'd be willing to try things out. That's for sure. Okay, that is Meteorite, and she'll be coming up really soon, and which is kind of cool. We're gonna get a chance to play around with her, and then if you've been following the calendar, I think it's next week. I'm just kind of clicking around here. Oh no, it's the week after. In 2 weeks, I believe we have our boss event coming on in, but you can always look at that on the forum as well if you want to get the exact dates and who it is. Okay, let's get off of this screen. We don't need to see these thunderbolts anymore. Get out of here, you guys. Okay. The other thing we're here for today, the other event we're here for, is the Welcome to S.H.I.E.L.D. for Peni. Now, I've seen it said that this one is not as easy as we'd all like. And let's just call it what it is. Peni Parker is not a good character. I've seen people online try to defend her at times. Like, oh, you just have to cast the blue a bunch on one character. Oh, you mean that blue that is overpriced for what it gives you? That's where my brain goes. The black is a decent team damager, but if you have the blue stun out, now you're damaging your teammates, which, fine, maybe it's not that much damage, but it's still like an annoying hindrance. Like, because I used a character's stun, I'm now hurting my teammates with her own abilities? This is very much some Reptile BS, right? Because Reptile, he can hurt his own teammates and stun them, and you get the point. It's not good. Like, why would you want to include this character anywhere near your combos when we have so many better options to use? I digress, and I digressed a lot there. I apologize. I should probably get into this and try to make sense of this, and we'll figure out how we can best this challenge before us, or both of them. We have 2 of them. They're exactly the same. You've probably tried them yourself already. It is already Wednesday night. Let's give it a shot. It is against the Lady Octopus. Lady Ock is a pretty darn new Marvel Puzzle Quest character. She came in, last year? She's very new to the game. She uses the same tentacle tile shtick that the other 4-star Ock uses, but they don't do the same things. And ironically enough, they also don't mix. Fun little trivia fact: if you put 4-star Lady Octopus and 4-star Doc Ock on the same team, their tentacle shenanigans don't overlap. It's kind of weird. It's like the game keeps track of whose tentacles are who. I have yet to find a way or a reason to include them on the same team, because honestly, the tentacle shtick doesn't work well. It's not like how Ant-Man and Wasp have swarm tiles and their swarm tiles benefit each other. Instead, these tentacle tiles don't really do that for each other. It's very strange. At least that's from my experience. If you have different experience, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to try it again. Maybe the game got fixed since I tried it. Maybe I had a bug, but I remember trying that and being thoroughly disappointed with that with Lady Octopus. Anyways, again, I digress. Her green is key to how she puts out damage passively, and also her defense and how you can mitigate it. You heard me right. Her defense, well, I shouldn't say her defense. Her green, when it's at 5, does its best damage output. Per tentacle tile on the board, she'll do extra damage. But when she gets 3 or more... Let me rewind. Because of her green, she has a set amount of damage she ignores incoming. It's kind of like having a protect tile just always on just her all the time. It's not a ton of defense, but it is enough to mitigate some 4-star match damage. We'll call it what it is. It's not that big, okay? That's actually enough to make a big difference though in this fight, because Peni Parker doesn't put out like giant damage. You need to get her blue out and her red out and her black out. You need to fire her powers often, and the fact that Lady Octopus has this green, it has this constant damage dampener, we'll call it that, up, it makes it really hard to punch through. Well, if she gets 3 or more tentacles out on the board, her defense halves. So if she had 600 extra protection on the board, and then she gets 3 or more tentacles out, now it's down to 300. It's a little easier to punch through. I'm not saying that you should let her cast all the green she wants, but if she did get 3 tentacles out there, I mean, just take it and roll with it. In fact, I would say almost look forward to it. Save your red, black, and blue powers. And when she casts enough green to get 3 tentacles out there, then unleash them all. But that's just my vision of it. She does do different points of damage. Obviously, the damage increases when she gets 3 or more tentacles out there, but that's why her defense decreases as well. It is, and it's also cheap. It's like only 4 green, and she can cast this and get it out there, get it rolling. But again, it's not a ton of damage output. You can get around it. You can put some defense on, get a support on there to help you. You can get around this. Her blue is more notable than you might think. Her blue makes a countdown tile, and as long as that countdown tile exists out there, it actually ups her defense, her passive defense, by like what, 55% or something like that. The last time I checked my roster, and then it also ups her damage output by the same amount. So she puts out more damage with all those tentacles out there, and she takes less damage incoming just because that blue countdown exists. Don't let that happen. That's not good. Besides, you need all the blue you can get to cast those stuns of Peni's, because really, let's call it what it is. Peni's stun is probably her best tool. No, it is her best tool. We know what we're saying here. It's her best tool. Thanks, Matt. Remember to turn animations on? I'll make sure to go back and do that when we're done here. Finally, Lady Octopus is purple. It puts down a countdown. And I'm just recalling, if I remember correctly, that countdown, and I'll probably have to check when we get into the fight. I want to say every turn it puts out more strike, attack, protect tiles, and every turn it exists on the board, the next set of strike, attack, protects it puts out are stronger than the last, because it does some sort of combination of the value of strike, attack, protects that are out on the board. I know it's a lot to digest, but when we get into the fight, I'll pull it up real quick and we'll read it for ourselves. But anyways, Peni Parker doesn't have a green or a purple power. You're not going to be aiming for those. I don't blame you for taking them if you see a nice chunk of green or purple you don't want her to have. But you need to aim for the blue. The blue is important. Peni needs a stunner, and then her other colors are red and black. So you're going to be busy with your own colors. And that's where part of this challenge comes in. Let's get to it. Peni Parker. Oh boy. Let's get off this boost. I don't need that anymore. We have the chroma skin on, this golden week one. I'm going to keep it on because I can. Peni Parker is not the best character in the game for sure. I'm calling it what it is. I'm just not impressed by her kit. But let's start off at the best one. Experimental webbing. You might think to yourself, Pi, if it's the best one, why is it only at level 3? What are you doing there? Hold up there. I'll let you see. For 7 blue, I'll even put this up to 5 so you can see this, right? For 7 blue, stun the target for 4 turns. Create a 5-turn experimental web countdown tile that stuns the target for an additional turn. If the experimental webbing is used on a different target, you remove any experimental webbing tiles targeting the original target. In other words, the stun happens. The stun is not based on the countdown. The stun is independent of the countdown you create. The 5-turn experimental webbing countdown, it stuns the target for an additional turn once it goes off. So it's just a 1-turn stun, and when it goes off, it does 1 more turn of stun. That's it. That's all it does. If you cast this though, you switch enemies. You like, okay, I'm hitting M'Baku, and I experimental webbing him. Bam. And then you flip over to fight Chasm, and you cast experimental webbing on him. Bam! All of a sudden, the other experimental webbing goes away. Even though M'Baku stays stunned, the stun is independent of the countdown. But now you have Chasm stunned as well. Somehow you had 14 blue for this. But only 1 webbing tile stayed on the board, and it's pointing at Chasm. Okay? Passive. For each friendly experimental webbing tile on the board, this ability's cost is reduced by 1, down to a minimum of 3. You might be like, well, how does it get lowered if you're removing them when you cast it? It expects you to cast this power repeatedly on the same person. You stunned them for 4 turns, and yet it expects you to cast another 7 blue on the same person for another 4-turn stun. It doesn't add on turns of stun. It just resets the timer back to 4. So if it took you 2 turns, it's on 2 turns left of stun on that M'Baku, and you're like, let's do it again. It doesn't bring it up to 6. No, it just resets the counter back up to 4. So, but, I mean, I guess that casting of experimental webbing, that second one on M'Baku, would have cost only 6, assuming the experimental webbing tile is still on the board. There's a reason for these tiles. Why do I have it at 3? Well, look what it does. Stuns the target for 2 turns. Creates a 5-turn experimental webbing tile. That's the difference. Now, you could tell yourself, and I won't deny you, that 4 turns of stun is better than 2 turns of stun. But I know that her other powers, they kind of suck. We want them to do as much damage as possible. And, having them do their best damage output is probably in our best favor. I'll probably run this 2 different ways though, since we're fighting Lady Yak twice. Here's her red. Hits coming up. Hey Alton, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you over there. Let's see. Hits keep coming. 7 red. She deals damage plus 35% damage for each experimental webbing tile targeting the enemy. So this is where if you can experimental web one person over and over again, building up those tiles, 35% more, 35% more, 35% more would come in handy, right? There's no cap on this. Of course, there's only so much blue AP in the world, but you know, you could make this pretty beefy. If I lower this down to 3, it does 2,278 at my level, plus 18% damage for each experimental webbing tile targeting the enemy. My logic here is that 35% is almost double, 18% more damage. I'm not going to get multiple experimental webbing cast off on one person often. I'm not. It's cost 7. And if I want to do it again, that's 6. And assuming that that experimental webbing tile stays out, and now it costs 5. This is assuming you get all that blue AP. Are you really going to find all that blue AP on a one-on-one fight? Nah. Shoot, you're lucky you find it on a 3-on-3 fight. Now maybe you have a blue AP engine like Bishop or Beta Ray Bill or someone that's giving you blue AP hand over fist. But even then, is this your grand plan? You're using Peni Parker to do experimental web stuns, and that's your grand plan for victory? I feel like you have better ways to abuse AP engines. But, you know, have fun. If you found a fun Peni Parker abuse, go for it. Shoot, tag me in it. Make a short and tag me in it. Oh man, I would love to see it. Seriously, I'd die for that. That'd be really cool. But I'll bring this down to 3 for 18% and do 2,278. 18% more of that. Nah. 4,500 with 35% more damage. That's a good chunk more. I only need 1 tile to get that 35% to buff it up a decent amount. For 7 red, I'd rather take that amount of damage over that amount of damage, assuming I only get 1 webbing tile out. Watch, the game's going to curse me now, like give me a ton of blue and I'll get like 7 web tiles out and they'll be like, oh, look, Pi, you should have did it. Anyways. And then finally there's 10-ton slam. 6 black. I kind of like this one. This is her second place power in my opinion. Some people don't like it as much because it does teammate damage. You hurt some of your teammates with it. I digress. Deals damage to the target plus extra damage, a smaller amount, to other enemies. For each friendly experimental webbing tile on the board, deal additional damage to all possible targets, including allies. Now that additional damage is pretty much just a little less than half of the extra damage you're doing to the other enemies. It's not a lot. It really isn't. If I lower this down to 3, it deals just a little over $1,000 in damage, at least for my version of Peni, right? To the target. Less than $1,000 of damage to the other enemies, and for each experimental webbing tile on the board, you deal a piddly less than 500 damage to all possible targets, including allies. No, I'm just going to crank this up to 5, get as much damage as I can out of this, as much team damage as I can out of it, and if there just so happens to be experimental webbing out there on the board, I'm not going to take that much, and they're going to take a little more extra. Not a big deal. This experimental webbing tile lasts 5 turns no matter what level I have it at. I'm just going to put it down to 3. 2-turn stun is going to be enough. If I get the red and or the black off, I'm already doing enough damage output to try to outpace the enemy. But we got to remember, we're going against Lady Octopus. She's going to have that damage defense that in place. She has defenses ready built in, and that's going to be annoying. So the rule is, in my head, you wait till you get her experimental webbing and then you let all your powers out. I think that's the best way to play her, because why would you cast her red and black when she's up and running and has her defense on? Stun her first and then let your full damage powers come out. Okay? Like Matt said, let's go on and turn on the animations. We have a one-on-one fight. That's the rule in the channel. One-on-one fights always get a character effects on, because what else are we doing here? Come on, we gotta make it look somewhat cool. What's up, Alton? As I learned in this fight, that bonus damage also hits her. Who designed this? And said to himself, "Good job, dude." I don't know, Alton. If you ever find out who, let me know. I'll see if I can find them on Discord, Reddit, whatever, and we can have a nice sit-down chat and so what hallucinogenics were you on? Here we go. Lady Octopus versus Peni Parker. Ready? No support this time. Fight. Dang, they're just like, oh, hey Penny, you want to have a bunch of green? I see the black match 5. Hold your horses. Let's take care of it this way first. I'll take that match 5 first, and then I can take this big old fat match, whatever that is, 7. Dang, that was a lot. See how much damage we've done to her already? Not a lot. A couple hundred. Why is it only a couple hundred? You want to see that green? That defense? Carolyn takes about 500 less damage. That's crazy. If there are at least 3 friendly tentacle tiles on the board, this ability becomes more dangerous. But this passive says she takes 247 less damage. So yeah, have that defense. Let her get those tentacles out. If she gets them out, who cares? Now you can hit her harder, right? And it took me a good couple crit shots there to only deal 300 damage to her. Let's get let's let her defense fall. Stun her maybe before you cast your abilities. Also that purple, we said we'd look at it. 3-turn VR wave generator. Oh, it's a repeater tile. That was my first mistake. I said countdown. I apologize. Creates a strike, attack, protect tile with increased strength equal to the combined strength of all enemy tiles of the same type. There we go. Enemy tiles of the same type. I think I said all tiles. That was close. Enemy tiles of the same type. That'd be really fun against that 5-star Sam if you could get this tile out there and she was alive. You could, the strike tile, protect tile, attack tile she'd make based on those enemy strikes that 5-star Sam makes. Woo. Anyways, while this is on the board, all friendly strike, attack, protect tiles also gain 40% bonus strength. Yikes. Yeah, it's pretty good, but I don't think we have to worry about all that because we don't have all that going on here for her to copy. She's not going to get to copy those stats from us. We're not making those. So, anyways, what do we want? We want red or blue? Probably blue. We want the stun. We don't want her to crit us. But I feel like we have to take the AP while we can, right? We want to stun her. She's not going to take both crits, is she? She could. Let's risk it. I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. Let's go. Look at the damage, though. She didn't do it either. She's like, I don't want that. I'll take this blue. Thank you very much. We have enough to stun. Let's make sure we get the red up and rolling. We want to, see everything, right? We have 3 red. We need 6 to cast it, right? Oh, 7. My mistake. Well, that's what this other crit's here for. Oh, I could take a match 4 blue, though. Nah, we'll just do this. Now we can take the blue. We can't pass up that much blue, okay? I mean, I guess technically... No, let's just take it now. We could stun and we could roll it. We might as well, right? This fight is weird. Quite easy if you get enough blue constantly, but otherwise, well, let's find out. Blue time. Experimental webbing. Wham. Got webbed. Now she's stunned for 2 whole turns. Everything's full strength over here, right? So let's start with the 10-ton slam. Boom. Okay, I'll take that little bit of damage. What was that, 600 damage? But I gave her almost 4 grand. Let's do it. Let's do that red. The hits keep coming. Boom. Oh man, was that enough for you? Boom. Don't need the stun at level 5. Do the other powers. Do the other colors. But Pi, you got lucky with the AP you generated. I probably did. I'm not going to lie. That was a good amount of cascades there in the beginning. I had 2 nice 5s that were lined up. Let's see what the next one does for me, right? We can't be that lucky twice, can we? I stand by that the stun at 5 is not worth it. I can't imagine why you'd want to. I think people see a longer stun and gravitate towards it, and I can't blame you. A longer stun means the enemy's at your mercy for longer, obviously. But that damage percentage output on the red and black makes it so much more valuable. You could do so much more damage by having 2-turn stun than you would with a 4-turn stun. I mean, again, unless you had like a crazy blue AP generator and you had a ton of web tiles stacked on somebody, I don't see it. Anyways, what's that? Hey, Dark, how's it going, bud? Copy or not, better to not let her cast purple at all. That's what doomed me in one attempt. Penny is only like 3/2/2, but still. Yeah. The purple can be deadly. I don't blame anyone for fearing it, but if you're not making strikes, attacks, and protects, it's not like she's going to make strong tiles then, because it copies enemy tiles strength, and we don't have any of that. So I know I should probably respect it a little more, but I'm not making those tiles for her to copy the strength of, so that's the only reason I'm not seeing it in that light. Don't remember what Penny said it, but chasing blue allowed me time to gather AP for other powers. I mean, that is fair. I'll give you that with that one. If you were using Penny Parker and she was under-leveled for any reason, don't forget your supports. I know plenty of people that don't have a champed Penny because obvious reasons, am I right? Don't sleep on your supports. Arrow's Arrow is amazing, and no, you don't have to have it at level 250, 5th ranked for this to work. All you need is that very first rank. The higher the better, of course, though. But, you know, just that first rank does the whole, if one doesn't exist at the end of the turn, makes a love struck tile, targeting a random enemy. It's a one-on-one. Who do you think it's going to be? Love struck enemy does, at this rank, 80% reduced damage while this tile exists. Now, of course, lower ranks is lower percent, but it is percent damage reduction. It's a bunch of reduction. It's really good at lower ranks too. Use it, abuse it if it helps you get through it. Rank 3 and higher does even more stuff. You know, when enemies do like match 4s, you get free AP. When the enemy fires a power, they can get stunned. There's other things that come into play here. It's a really good one. It can help you punch through and play the long game and just win through attrition. I also like to point out that Lady Octopus is a villain, and I say that because, and I probably passed him up. Did I pass him up? I probably did. Oh, there he is, Korg. Korg has this little perk here at rank 2. Supported character deals extra damage to villains. That's nice, right? You can just throw that on them. Just extra damage to villains all the time. Also, your health gets boosted. That's cool. I don't care about the yellow AP. The base yellow match damage going up isn't bad. I wouldn't sniff at that, but, you know, the rest of the stuff's nice. Extra damage to villains, extra health increase. That might help you punch through some of that defense she has. Of course, you could always throw on a Taskmaster Sword, but this does extra damage to heroes. Lady Yock doesn't count as that. Characters' powers deal additional damage to enemies. That's just only for your powers. So you'd have to fire the red or the blue to get that effect, right? The Korg does it for, well, everything. It's just match damage to villains. So, food for thought, right? Anyways. I'm just going to go back in there and do it again. Maybe I had a lucky cascade. Let's see how this works. I'm going to heal her up, make it fair. Ready, set, go. What's that? Sorry, in standard 3 with 3, 4-turn stun is just superior, and that black of her is total ass anyways. I'm not gonna lie. I like the black over the red. Call it what it is. There are so much better reds out there than this. For 7 red, you get okay damage. It's okay, but it only does the extra percent damage if you have experimental webbing on the board. And that damage, that extra percent of damage it's doing, is really what it should do. If for 7 red, that cost should be more damage. You should, so it's like it's kind of gatekeeping the damage she should do behind this 7 blue. If you want the true damage output of this red, you have to first cast this blue, meaning this ability costs 14 AP. That's how I see it in my head. I don't like that AP economics in this character. I think they're totally whack. The black I like as this because it's 6 AP, it does damage to the target, and that damage to the other enemies. That's like 6 AP for a team damager isn't horrible, and it only does the additional damage to everyone, including allies, if she has the webbing out. Again, you'd have to cast the 7 AP to get that out. I rather trust that. I do not like the fact that that red costs what it costs, and if you want the full value of it, you have to have this blue out. I don't like that. I feel like that's not fun design, right? That's just, it's kind of like, it reminds me of X23. Hey, I got this cool green, it costs 9. Do you want the full version of it? Make sure you have like 12 red on hand. Then you can cast the green. Now that you cast it, now your next version of the green is the full version. So 18 green with 12 red in supply could get you a full version of the power. Screw you. No thank you. No thank you. No one says that's an amazing ability. And that's what I look at here. This is just a new age version of that. Ugh. Now, I do like the idea of the character doing more damage when they're stunned, but I don't think that's novel in any way. Daredevil does that, you know. That's something we could see that in other characters. Do I want that black? That purple match 4 is kind of tempting. I don't want her to get all that purple. I feel like a good way to go about this is just to do this. If I take this red right here, it breaks up that match 4, and it gives her another match 4 purple. I swear, life just finds a way, right? I have a good amount of options here. It's kind of scary. But it's going to give her something no matter what I do. I guess I'll take this black and the red combo. Kind of surprised she didn't take the purple down low. It was looking mighty nice. I'll take this top blue. She might take the bottom one. Go ahead, get those tentacles out there. I haven't seen you cast anything yet. Let's go. Oh, she took my blue. I'll take the other blue. I'll take it actually with a combo. Let's go like this green into blue. There we go. I don't like that. I don't like that we just gave her a match 4 purple again here. But what are you gonna do, right? Need one more red and some black. I guess we'll do that, right? Here's the VR wave generator. It reminds me of the Annihilus's negative zone for some reason. It's something to do with the animation. I don't know. Too bad they have nothing to do with each other. I think it'd be fun if they did somehow. No reason, just because. Make people scratch their heads even more like, what is Penny Parker up to? Do I take the yellow and the blue? Ugh, I guess I will, just for the combo. Just checked. Mine was 544, which according to Pi was hard mode with no support. Hard mode? I didn't say it was hard mode. I just don't like the AP economics. I do not. Nope. Sure, you have more time to gather the AP. I'm not going to front you that. That's a very solid assessment. I haven't needed the time. I'd rather just kick her butt and say goodnight. Ooh, but I have enough blue to do a double web. Let's see how much this does now. Oh, she got a 3-turn stun on me. Well, that's fun. Let's see how this plays out. Ooh. I'm anticipating what is this? What's gonna happen? Come on, Lady Ock, let's see it. That's all you got? Oh, that's cute. Okay. So, experimental webbing. We gotta do that again, right? Because obviously this ability is so good. Yes, I'm being snarky. Okay, we got 2 of them out there on the board. Let's hit that 10-ton. Boom. Ooh, that's a lot more damage. 4,500 to her. If she had teammates, they'd feel it. 35% damage for each experimental webbing on the board. I don't know if I've ever had 2 webbings out at one point before, because asking me to spend 13 blue on one person... no. That's a lot of damage. That's pretty darn cool. I'm not saying she's good, but if we're going to do something, that's a way to do it. That's stupid attack tile. Taking my animation time. I just need 3 more blue, 3 more black. Let's get it. And we're just gonna stomp on her one more time. There we go. Good times. I took some damage there. She did her stun. She tried. Good job, Lady Yak. You put a good college effort in there. Woohoo! But we're done. That's 2 legendary tokens. Good stuff. I probably wouldn't be able to win it without the arrow, and still lost once when she got too much of her colors going, even got her blue CD fortified. That blue, I said it before, I'll say it again. If you're going to use Lady Ock, that blue is where it's at. That green is nice constant damage output. Sure, put some strikes and some damage amplifiers out there with her. Sure, it's nice, it's pretty, it's easy to use. But that blue... she's already got built-in defense. She already has built-in powers firing off damage hits every turn all the time, right? That blue amps up everything. Her personal defense gets amped. Her personal damage output gets amped. An Ascended Lady Ock that casts that blue might be a little scary. I don't know if I don't think it'd be broken or anything, but it's things that like that make me think, what could I do with that? But anyways, I digress. That is Penny Parker's Crashes of the Titans. If you have any trouble with it, need any help, any suggestions, drop me a line, throw me a comment. Do it on Reddit, on Twitch, on Discord. Shoot, find me on Xbox. The name is the same everywhere. Look for PiMacleod. I'll be happy to look through. You just got to tell me your in-game name and what alliance you're with, and I can search you up. We can talk. We can figure it out. Okay? Like I said earlier, Arrow's arrow is really, really busted, though. It's your best way to get that win. Don't forget your damage boosts. Anyways, thank you for joining me, Alton, and thank you for joining me, Dark. Thank you, Matt, over on YouTube. Thanks, Matt, on Twitch, and John for joining me in the first place. I appreciate all the support, as always. I'll see you guys really, really soon. Later, everybody. Good night.